Finance for hippies, teeth, swag and ducky. Finance for hippies, teeth, swag and ducky.
Flyness. How do you become fly? Is it the clothes that you wear? Is it the people you associate with? Some say it's what you consume, what you drink. Redbull would say it's what they provide. It's the caffeine that lifts you up. My man Aewon Wolf would say that's why he's flying on his cover to the moon, elevating. Finance for Hippies, episode something.
That's what's up.
That was a horrible intro,
bro.
But I pulled it off, the confidence will take me through.
We yeah, this is how we usually do. To our audience, I'm ashamed of my co-host as always. He's botched up our intro as always. But this is how we roll here. This is how I'm here for the show. I bring stability. I bring real flyness. And yeah, we've got an amazing guest as well. I think if you follow our show, you know that we out here, we got a little underground rap career. We dropped a mixtape, but now we brought you guys like a real rapper.
For sure.
A real, like the real thing, not the Don, not this guy sitting next to me. We brought the real thing today.
The Durban originator.
Ndaki yesterday said something actually quite interesting, and I'd love our guest to touch on this when I've introduced him. He called you the boozy of Durban.
I said no. From what I see, you run Durban like boozy runs Atlanta.
He said you run Durban like boozy runs, dude. So basically, just to give you a little bit of credentials for our guests, we got Aewon Wolf. Aewon Wolf. Ndaki, give us a wolf howl, bro.
That's what's up.
We got Aewon Wolf out here. He's this is Mr. Wolfpack. This is Mr. We've seen him out here with Redbull. We've seen him with Bacardi. We've seen him do some interesting work with Spotify. We've seen him on One Mic on SABC. We've seen him behind the Durban Creative Awards. He used to be one of the founders of the Werehouse. I can't keep going, bro. I can't keep going. This is too much. Your rap sheet is too much. And we've just seen you do some amazing things for the culture. We've seen you evolve your career. Aewon Wolf, bro, welcome to Finance for Hippies, bro.
For sure.
Away. Thank you for having me.
Away, bro. I've told a lot of these guys here, that I used to know you back in the day. None of them believe me, but I'm happy that finally, 10 years later, a decade in, we got you here, bro. We got you here. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And you guys, how you guys doing?
No, we're solid, man. We found it appropriate to bring in a good old Redbull to the studio. Something, a brand that you've had seen, so it seems a very good relationship going back for a while now. Tell us a bit about that type of relationship, how you managed to keep it so long lasting. How do you make such relationships grow?
The key to making relationships grow, especially with brands, is find a brand or work with brands that you can relate with and have a similar brand alignment as you. So in terms of vision and mission statement, so Redbull has been an easy brand to align with because they very much embodied all the different types of aspects that I embody. Because even during the different phases of my career, which I think we'll discuss throughout this thing at some point, they've always related at some level. When I had my turn-up phase, when I was wild in the club scene, whatever, they were there. They have some kind of active imprint there because they catered for what I was about at that time, which is more of an alternative artist or alternative musician that kind of broke boundaries. So they fitted in. Now that I'm more active in terms of like positive health lifestyle brand, they're still in that space as well. They're very much about health and activity and making sure people are physically active and engaging in activities that, are good for them. So as a brand, it's just been a natural progression. And it's everything, like any brand that you work with, like the brands that I haven't had long-standing relationships with have been transactional. And when you have a transactional relationship where it's just about you giving me this amount of money and I will do A, B, and C for you, that don't generally they never last. Because for the brand's perspective as well, they can just move on to the next guy who's hot or anyone else that's at that time willing to take their check and can give them what they want. So it can never be long standing. So you have to be aware of what kind of relationships you're trying to build and which brands you're trying to build with, because at some point you might not be hot. At some point that brand might not be fitting with what you're trying to do. So at some point you're going to separate ways, and then you're going to have to try and start up something new with someone else. And then it's not so easy to start up something new with someone else when you've already got this stamp on yourself with another brand. So people need to think always longevity in terms of the long game, because if now I've been having a good relationship with Red Bull all this time and I decided to take a check from Monster, I'll give an example. This happened to me. Monster came at some point and they were offering money, straight up money. The friends I was with at that time took the money.
I would have taken the money as well, my man.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's a choice. It's a choice. But this is the principle I'm trying to like teach. And I said no. I turned it down because Monster at that time, a game was, let's get all the guys that Red Bull has, whatever. Let's beat Red Bull by giving money, because guys want money. Yeah. So I said no. For what Red Bull has and the culture that Red Bull has, there's a lot more to benefit from Red Bull on the long game versus taking a check now. But if I jump to Monster, Red Bull's not gonna like. Can I swear on the show?
Oh hell yeah!
Okay, Red Bull's not gonna fuck with me. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it's a matter of you're gonna burn a bridge that's solid, stable, and has gotten you to a lot of places and will get you to a lot of places in the future for a short-term
quick buck
bridge that to just take you one place, only one place. So you need to decide where you're going. It's like this one's easier. This one looks much more lucrative. The other bridge is longer, maybe like a long road to get to where you want to be. But when you get there, you still have plenty more options. This one's leading to an island. So it's like, and the island is just this quick check. Because I was like, I need to look at what both brands have in terms of a long game. And I just weighed up the two, and I was like, as well, I wasn't a believer in what Monster was selling or pushing it at that time as well. So it was also an ethical thing, because I'm a person who's aware of what they put into their drinks as well. So at least I knew that Red Bull had options I could consume myself. I wouldn't consume Monster. So so it's not something I would consume. So like, am I going to now sell myself to check something I can't even use myself?
For sure.
So there are a lot of considerations, but it worked out in my benefit at the end of the day, because those same guys who jumped onto the Monster check didn't get even half of the promises that Monster had offered at that time. Monster had gone through a lot of changes. I don't know if it's changed now, but at that time, it was very volatile. Like, they were making promises to everybody. They were planning A, B, and C, and then things changed. So it's like, it didn't work out for any of those guys. Whereas for me in Red Bull, I was getting gigs from Red Bull. Like, even when I wasn't trying to gig, when I didn't want to gig, I was still getting gigs from Red Bull through my venue.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? That relationship was still long-standing. They gave me like the whole sound system worth $1 million for the Werehouse for free.
Sure. Slow down. Daki doesn't know those numbers. Just slow down.
Those are big numbers.
He's still processing.
I like to associate the show with big numbers.
Look, man, to be honest, obviously we had some kind of structure of certain things that we wanted to touch on. And I still really want to actually delve into a bit more into just how you've maneuvered yourself as a brand and how you've maneuvered with brand partnerships. But one thing that I've always appreciated just about watching even your career evolve is your thinking. And you've always been hustling and trying to work and get money. You know what I'm saying? From the varsity days, you know, when you know I could touch base with you a little bit more often at that time. Where did that mentality come from? You know, just to want to get money for yourself and empower yourself. Where did that come from?
If I were to interject, I think because we're so money focused, we didn't really start at the top, you know, going into who is Aewon. I think we already went to the bag. That's how we focus. That's what we're trying to bring to the people. But let's touch on the person, the man, the wolf, Aewon. Who is Aewon? Quick, you know, as we discussed earlier, you've had a very healthy, long career with many groups. Tell us how you evolved quickly to where you find yourself now.
Okay. I think I'll answer it in two parts, just so I can also answer Teeth Swag's question.
Yeah.
So the journey as Aewon Wolf is like started in high school with Sketchy Bongo in studio. He was a kid that I picked up that said he makes beats. And at that time, I started a thing called a hip hop club at my school because I was a hip hop fan, super hip hop fan. And there were not a lot of hip hop fans back then at all. So when you found one, you made sure you had a connection. So I started a hip hop club in my school. And then this kid came through and he was like, yo, I make beats. And he gave me like a CD, but he only had house beats on it. And that was Sketchy Bongo. And I was like, can you make hip hop beats? Yeah. I just don't have them on me. So I was like, okay, cool. So hook me up when you get them. Where do you live? And I found out he lives not too far from where I stayed. So that collaboration started because we were like literally two kids interested in hip hop. And I was like, just for me, hip hop was like a lifestyle thing. I just doing it because I love it. Like, I don't know if you guys have that same belief system.
Bro, we dropped the mixtape, bro. I think we got like 6 streams, but it matters, bro. It matters, bro. We
So
dropped
like
the tape about money, bro.
Yeah, it's like a love thing. So
fun, bro. It's beautiful
in
culture.
high school, that's where it started. And then Tuko started the group thing with Tuko, the guy that introduced myself and Teeth Swag. Brought him in because he was also one of the guys who loved hip hop and he was my friend. And he loved also rapping and freestyling. And we used to freestyle and cypher all the time and talk about hip hop and debate. I think Teeth Swag has been caught in a couple of our debates on
a lot of those, bro.
versus Nas.
Wild.
Cannabis, who won the Cannabis and LL Cool J battle, like all those things. Like we're always talking hip hop. And so that always developed. And then the group became 3. We added another guy named Dawood. Then we were a group called Silverback. Dawood fell away. At some point, we used to freestyle at what's this thing? The terminals. Workshop. So at the terminals at the workshop, like the cipher culture, we used to cipher a lot there.
It was real then, bro.
We met other guys as well. There's like a guy named Ballistic. There was a guy named Abdus. Abdus became an artist that was actually pretty big.
All right.
At some stage, or it's still there as well. So like even Abdus was supposed to be a part of the group that I had at that time, Silverback. Like he joined for like a second and then he was out again. Because he didn't stay close to us. And unlike the other guys, it was difficult to do anything or actually make music together. So like the group thing we pushed and hustled for as long as we could, to the point where Silverback had to change because now we had JR. Like I'm fast forwarding. I'm trying to get through.
Yeah, for sure.
Now we were with JR, working with JR in Joburg. We went to Joburg to stay with him, and we stayed with him for like a little bit, stayed with my family, and we're moving around as well. But like for 2 years, about 2 years straight, we were in Joburg just hustling under JR as his potential artist. And then that didn't work out when we came back because and there's a million reasons why it didn't work out. It wasn't like just one. So we came back, and I was like, you know what? I need to do the solo thing. Like I've been in groups or in a group for so long.
Yeah.
I need to be responsible for my own career. I need to do like my own thing and not be held back. Because sometimes it's like you end up hating the people you're in a group with, or you end up having like this thing as resentment of people you're in a group with because you feel like, hey, if they were nicer in this situation, or why did they have to fight with so and so? Why did they have to? And you're like, you got this baggage of someone else's life attached to yours. So it's like, I don't want to have that resentment for a person that I could consider my friend. You know what I mean? And someone who is like a brother to me. So I was like, you know what? Like, let me not blame anyone else if anything goes wrong. Let me not have that opportunity to do that and put it on myself. So then I created Aewon Wolf. So that's when I did Aewon Wolf, and then I came back and then I started working with Sketchy Bongo again, because at that point we actually stopped. We hadn't been working with Sketchy Bongo anymore. We were working with Muzi. I don't know if you know Muzi.
I know Muzi. Actually, Actually met him personally about a week ago for the first time. At the bar.
Yeah, about a week. So he was part of WTF, the original WTF. And with Charlie. So Charlie is the other producer. So like I'd been working with them. But then when the whole thing like closed down with JR, I was like, okay, cool, let me go back to Durban. And I had to go back to Durban for family reasons as well. So when I came back here, I hit up Sketchy and I was like, yo, bro. He was like, yo, let's work. And we literally said to ourselves, or he said to himself, like, this is my last year. If nothing happens this year, if we work hard for a whole year and nothing happens, I'm going into like a normal, regular job. I'm not doing music like this
Sketchy,
anymore.
the accountant type of thing.
I'll just do it for fun. I'll do it for you, but I'm not trying to like waste my time with it. And I was like, cool, bro. Just give me that year. Let's do it. Let's push. We're going to push for a year. So we started pushing. Things started working out. And after that, we then had the whole, because I had that group thing in me. I love working in a group. I'm a firm believer that when you work together with other people, with the right people, you can move a lot faster. You can do a lot more. And it's no point in being selfish and trying to keep things to yourself. It's like you can eat more. You know what I mean? If everyone's trying to keep this one pie for themselves, they're closing themselves to a whole bakery. If we all can like have literally a part to play in that bakery. Everybody, you can provide the eggs, you can provide whatever, and let's just make a lot of pies. You know what I mean? And we can eat all day as much as we want. So then I started the whole Wolfpack thing with Sketchy, and we started bringing Kyle. Was someone who I went to school with as well. But I met him at a Redbull event. Redbull again, there you go. At a Redbull event, and he was like, I was on Idols. I got in the top 30. I was like, oh, I didn't know because I wasn't watching Idols at that time. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Bro, you can sing. I knew him as a soccer player. I literally knew him as a soccer player. And I'm like, oh,
this is Kyle Deutsch, right?
Yeah, Kyle Deutsch, yeah.
Deutsch.
I was like, I was shocked that he even sang. And then I listened to him and I was like, oh, you can sing. You can actually like proper sing. So I was like, let's work. Started working with him. Brought him to the studio. Sketchy didn't want to work with him in the beginning. Funny story. Sketchy was like, nah, this guy, nah. I don't vibe with him. Like he needs to up his game a little bit. So
yeah. I get the Sketchy feeling. I get it.
So I put him on to Charlie, WTF Charlie. And we started working with Kyle Deutsch with WTF Charlie. And then like when he started like understanding and like started like doing stuff the way Sketchy wanted, he was like, okay, no, he ain't that bad. He's actually quite good. Let him come through. We can start working him in the studio. So then started making songs. Then you had like that song with Casper with Kyle Deutsch being made. At that time, like that was like a new thing for artists, and we pretty much pushing all kinds of things like that. Then Back to the Beach became like a super hit. Then my songs were also starting to blow up. Like all started technically it all started when Kumnandi got playlisted on 5FM.
Yeah.
And I did that song with Coolkat. So that song opened up so many doors, ridiculous amount of doors. Because we were playlisted on 5FM, people were paying attention. Redbull immediately, because Redbull knew me at that time, but they were like, okay, now you got the song, we will put you on these stages. So they started booking us. We started earning money for the first time for those bookings. And it was always Aewon Wolf and Sketchy Bongo, because Sketchy Bongo was my DJ at that time. So I always used to use his name. It's Aewon Wolf and Sketchy Bongo. So everything we released, even Kumnandi was Aewon Wolf and Sketchy Bongo.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create a whole DJ character persona for Sketchy Bongo. Sketchy Bongo was actually never supposed to be like a person who goes out into the physical world. He was supposed to be a character.
You guys are thinking ahead, man. You guys are thinking different, bro. Yeah.
So that became like, it developed into what it is now, and like naturally over time. But it's like all that stuff was just like that's the history. And then we did the Wolfpack. Then Shekinah got involved. WTF were part of it. Gemini Major was brought in all similar ways. And then even Nasty C was a part of Wolfpack at one stage. Teleman was part of Wolfpack. Beast was even part of Wolfpack at one stage. It's like the idea was always, let's network, work together. I've got these resources. I've got these doors. I've got these people who listen to me. And you guys got talent. Like, you guys straight up got talent. So I will do what I can to just make them look at you and pay attention to you, or accept something from you, or we can help you with, you need a video, or you need a beat, or you need it to record, or anything along those lines. So like that was the principle of the Wolfpack, is like we connected by helping each other. So when you get into a position, you also like, hey, please put on A, B, and C for my crew, or these people as well. So it's like when I got on Live Amp, it was like a big deal, because that was the biggest music show in the country. So when I got on Live Amp, I was like, okay, first thing that clicked in my mind was this, beyond like getting there and performing. I was like, yo, why you guys haven't put on Deutsch and Shekinah yet? And they're like,
receipts.
We didn't know that. Oh, we didn't think of it. And they were like honest with me. Like, they didn't think of it. I was like, okay, cool. So literally a few weeks later, they are performing Back to the Beach on Live Amp, on the biggest show in the country, which pushed the song even more into the main market than it was. Because like people, it's the same thing when radio wasn't playing Back to the Beach on like Metro and stuff. Because like we gave Back to the Beach was given a license to, because this was early days, so it was given as a license to Universal. And funny enough, Sketchy will tell you this, and he tells the story all the time. They thought Back to the Beach was a throwaway song. True. They really thought it was a throwaway song. They didn't
like
believe
testing the market kind of song.
All of them didn't believe in Back to the Beach. They thought it was just like a throwaway song. So Universal hit them up at that time, and it was like, "Oh, we interested," and they were like, "Okay, cool. If you're interested, we'll just give it to you, like on a license tip. We just license it to you." Not even thinking twice about it, because they were like, "Let's just see what they do with it and whatever." They did nothing with it. Real talk. I'm giving you facts. Like, people can call me out whatever they want. They did nothing with it, factually, because Metro didn't playlist, Gakasi didn't playlist, 5FM didn't playlist. Like, all the stations didn't playlist for when Universal had it. But as soon as I, like Sketchy and myself, submitted to those people directly, talking to our contacts and
yourselves individually.
Ourselves, yes. Yeah. They playlist. Right. So it was like that it was like, why do people even sign with these labels? Like that's the one time I realized, like, you have to make yourself big for a label to take you serious enough to actually do something for you. Like, you have to be big beforehand. Like, you have to have that buzz or something already going for you, for them to take you that serious to do something for you that you couldn't do for yourself. So it's like, I get so worried when sometimes people sign these deals and they get excited for signing. And it's like, that's not even, don't get excited. Like, don't get excited about the signing.
I think on that lovely note, let's take a break to sell some products that we do not own or manufacture. Things like underwear that refreshes your fart and smells like mint. Products such as my Keep in a Ziploc. The same Ziploc that we give you weed in and cocaine. You can cut that out.
You don't cut that out, nigga. Leave it.
No, you can't.
So, what? Cocaine? No, nigga, it's a joke. Nigga, you what? Can't joke about cocaine.
No, you can't.
Not if you don't want to.
If you want to be aligned with brands and don't sell coke, nigga.
Man. Baby, do you need to grow your wood? Then come see me, Dr. Mlaketi, the length and girth expert. I specialize in other things, but I feel like you need this more. Yes, you.
Oh my God, I'd just like to thank Doctor for helping my husband. It is so big, I never seen something so large. Thank you.
Side effects include dizziness, vomiting, and cheating. Call me now at 011-772-0800.
We back from our break. Please go on our online store that doesn't exist to get those products that we do not have. They're on special at $49.99 from our $99.99 special that we've been having for the last 18 months.
Finance
Thank you very much.
For hippies.com. That's where it all is. So before we went to the break, Aewon was out here dropping some jewels, and I think you were kind of making a nice segue to actually deal with both questions we had asked, where I think you were now, it would be nice to you to kind of refresh on just the mentality, that you've always had of, let's get together and let's get the bag, and it's not something that you've just woke up and did. It's, I think in your earlier phases of your career, you were refining it, but it's got to have come from somewhere, bro.
Let me chop in like this and ask you a direct one, Aewon.
What the hell is wrong with this guy? Aewon,
no, it's the same segue. Don't worry. It's the
Aewon,
same
we're
segue.
firing this guy from the show.
Why I'm cutting in is because what you touched on about the use of a label. During our team here, we discussed the music industry a lot. Some of us have split opinions as to the use of a label, especially in the modern day era. What have you learned, what you can do as an independent, and where you actually need the label to come in? Because there's this thing of the label engine, the label push that propels you to bigger heights that would be difficult to reach by yourself. Things such as getting playlisted. Radio spins. We all know everyone wants spins.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get the whole nation of radios to get you on there. But can you dissect that portion for us, please,
Okay.
while we're discussing the same issues of teeth swag that we'll gently ignore? What is the use of the label?
Okay. Straight up, I won't even lie to you. If you want to be a superstar in this day and age, right now, it might change again. But right now, if you want to be a superstar, you have to be involved with the label at some level. At some level, you must be involved with the label.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah. The reason why I say this is not necessarily gatekeepers. This is what happened, and I'm going to use the example of the Wolfpack, what I saw with the Wolfpack and what I saw with Aewon Wolf. Timing helped a lot. Because what I was able to do and Sketchy Bongo was able to do at that time for artists was we utilized the internet to its full potential. We literally were ahead of the curve when it came to the internet than any other label. We gamed the system because we were like, yo, why are you not playing our song if our song has got this much reach? If this many people are talking about and hyping the song up on the internet. We were the first people doing that stuff on the internet. where we were like,
You guys were
literally
wilding out on Twitter.
analytics and
In the early
using like
stages.
Twitter and using all that stuff to game the system. The people didn't understand that stuff. We were like, yo, look at this and look at these numbers. How are we not playlisted? How are we not on that stage? How we are not given the recognition we're supposed to be given? And then we make them scared using the same internet, because we were like, yo, we can expose you now. So we were the first to actually do that whole system of gaming. Fast forward a few years later, it don't work no more. Don't fool yourself. Like, people fool themselves and think that the internet's not free no more. See, when the internet stopped being free, it stopped being accessible to the artists. Because you need to understand, record labels are banks. Record labels are nothing else but banks. Like, people can try and dress them up, whatever. They banks with expertise in the music industry. So they know exactly how to use money, leverage, and everything that they have as a bank, the collateral they have as a bank, to make you desperate, to keep you in debt, to keep you always paying that interest to them on the long game. Sacrifice what you have in the real world, like the real things that you have, your talent, your music. Give it to them. They will give you money in return, give you these things in return for now that you're going to have to pay back somehow. And when you don't pay it back, we're going to take your stuff in the real world and we're going to use it for ourselves and have that collateral that we can keep using to make more money. The whole thing when people talk about masters is a long game. Like, artists will be like, yo, we need to buy back our masters. They don't even know why they need to buy back their masters. They don't even know. People will talk like, we need our masters, whatever. The reason why you need your masters is because it's a long game. The reason why the record labels want your masters is because they say, well, we might not make 100 million now, but with the amount of masters we have, for the next 100 years, we'll be making 100 million. You know what I mean? And it's like, from that one master, then we have like 10 of them. So we'll make so much more on a long game. We'll be making that money over time, and we use those same masters to go and use that money to go buy more masters. So they're not even doing they're not even spending any new money. They're using people that they ripped off from the past's money to rip off new people and to gain what you have, which is the real substance, the talent, the thing that you can't just buy. Like, you literally have to have it, and you need to be able to make it. They take it by giving you money, and they give you all these things that you want for now, like superstardom, to look good on TV, so everyone look up to you and have the super special status and say, yo, that guy's got chains, grills, whatever, and I look up to him. Nobody questions whether that stuff was given by a record label with the intent of earning interest off that. So when the day you're not hot and the day that the record label drops you, or the record label says, okay, we're not earning enough from you, so we're going to stop pushing you as much and push the next hot thing. We're gonna just take our shit back. And what are you stuck with? You're not so hot talent. Like, your little bit of a fan base that you gained at that time that is now moving over to the next artist that the record label's pushing. It's like,
which is a sad game, man. It's very sad.
It's a sad game. So it's like, my mentality is, if people, you need to be smart on how you use the record label. If you're going to be with the record label, be smart. Know what it is. Like, know exactly what it is. It's the same way I use the example of bank. Banks are not inherently evil. You can use a bank to become rich. You can use a bank to have long-term wealth. You know, you can take credit, you can take a loan and say, I'm investing in a business that's going to last me much longer and be in a position where I don't need to take the loan no more. But people are mistaking how like they're mistaking the whole system. They're mistaking how they think that this is their money. They're not even questioning the contracts that they're in. You have people saying, I'm being ripped off. Like after 2 years or 3 years of being hot at the top, then they complain and say, I'm being ripped off my record label. It's like, hold on, it's not a new record deal. The deal has been there. You've been sitting with that record deal in your emails or wherever. You could have read this stuff at any point. So when they're deciding to enforce the contract and say you now want to label them as being evil. I always say the music industry is like the worst industry because the talent of musicians enter into employment contracts but don't want to respect the contracts. No other industry do you have that. If no other industry. If you're an accountant and you decide to work for a firm and they give you an employment contract and say, these are our terms and conditions as this firm. You will not take any extra work beyond what our firm gives you. You will earn the salary this much, this every month, whatever type of thing. And it's for 2 years. And those are the terms. We have a code of conduct, we have whatever. Person signs, works for 2 years. When it's 2 years is done, they renegotiate the contract. He doesn't like the renegotiation. He moves on to another firm. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm moving on to another firm. Musician, 6 months down the line. I'm so hot. I'm making so much money. I'm making so much money for this company, for this record label. I'm the hottest thing. Why you giving me a salary, bro? It's like, but no, those are the terms we came to. Like, you signed this contract. But no. But I made this much money. So no, it's not your money. It's our company's money. You're working for us. You are in an employment contract. That is what a record label deal is. And at the end of the day, you're an employee of the record label.
Yeah. In your opinion, what is the greatest benefit they offer now in the modern age that an independent artist cannot do for themselves?
Money. That's what they offer. They offer money, and if regular banks, if F&B was offering money the way that
loans offer mixtapes
for a mixtape, I would say go to F&B. At least it'll be clear cut understanding what's going on, and they won't put the creative input. You know what I mean? It's
Capitec, this is a shout out to you, man. Capitec, you need to finance those mixtapes.
But I'm saying like that is it, because at the end of the day they got resources that is gained from money. So when you as an artist in this day and age, you cannot reach your own audience without a sponsored post. That's what I'm saying. The internet is not free anymore. Look at the platforms that are the most popular: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Your own following, your subscribers, people who subscribe to you on YouTube don't get that notification no more. They don't get that notification no more. They won't see when you drop the new video without having to take extra steps to click the notification bell, to do this, whatever. They make it so hard for your own followers to follow you. There was a time where YouTube was honestly free, where people, if I watched Aewon Wolf's video right now, and cool, it's a dope video, the next video that will play was Aewon Wolf's video. Now you get an audience who's like, I just clicked in Aewon Wolf, I typed in Aewon Wolf, I watched Aewon Wolf's video, and it's like the next video is going to be Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
What the? Like, this person took the effort to come to me, but YouTube is quickly sending him off to someone else. Because that person's got budget behind him or pushing a budget behind him, and the algorithm works in his favor right now and it earns them the most amount of money because that's what they want. They're not trying to help you as the artist. They want you to bring your audience to them, and then they'll take your audience somewhere else to where the money is. Whoever put the money in. So it's like, Aewon Wolf, nah, you haven't had enough sponsored posts. Nah, we ain't sharing your shit. Your niggas will come to YouTube, and when they get you, they're gonna move to someone else. Watch, because you ain't giving us money. Whereas Universal has put millions into our bank accounts.
Yeah.
Warner has put millions into our bank accounts. So we'd rather promote any of these guys.
You, Aewon Wolf, as T-Swag would mention, you have obviously worked in a lot of groups, and you also have worked with other artists as well. How do you, having, had the fortune of effectively reaching that height, being the hot guy in the streets, at one point you were, I remember you said you were next to Miss World shooting a selfie ad. That means you can shoot your shot to Miss World, man. You're hot when you're in that position. You know what I'm saying? So how, in this day and age, what do you think needs to be in place for an artist to blow? Obviously, you need to understand the game and at some level game it and put it to your advantage.
Yeah.
But what do you think is required to this day and age for a person to blow? I'm Don Salamanca. I've got a mixtape coming up. I can drop a few singles. What do I need to be in place to blow up?
Number one, maybe I'm not the best person to talk about that because my mind state has shifted.
We've noticed, yeah.
So at the time when that Miss World or whatever, shooting a selfie ad and like all that hype, whatever, like literally was my mind state was on gaming the system. Like you said, like I was in that mind state. So I can speak at that time because I had to calculate according to what was going on at the time, how to game it then. My mind hasn't been there in years. But as just as an outsider looking in, without too much like, as put a disclaimer, I'm just putting that disclaimer so you understand that I'm not saying that this is the key. Yeah, like I've been helping artists and trying to help artists get what you're talking about. But my thing has always been now is forget about the hype, number one.
Yeah.
Forget about trying to be number one or trying to be at the top of the game and the most popular. That will always be the person with the most money behind him. It's never really been about talent, if we're being honest. It's the person with the most money behind him will always be at the top of the hype game, especially now in the world where all the platforms, all the influences come from payment, paid advertising.
For sure.
There was a time where a few years back it was different. All these platforms were free because they were new. They hadn't started wanting to get their money back. All these platforms usually start off, any platform that's new starts off not trying to make money, but with the basis of we need to get you hooked. We need to get you hooked, and once you're hooked, then we'll start throwing the ads in front of you or the sponsored posts or whatever. So if you want to be at the top, you're gonna have to find a way to have money behind you. That's number one. So number two, when I say as an artist, what should be important to you, you should focus on developing your tribe, your network. Because at the end of the day, you might not have a million. You might not have a million followers or a million fans, if you want to put it that way. But you can make the equivalent of an artist who has 1 million fans with just 1,000 fans, if you're smart enough. So you need to, as an artist, start developing and cultivating a tribe that is loyal to you, that understands who you are, and is willing to put bank behind you to support what you're giving them. So you need to look at what value am I giving these people, and how do I stay connected with these people so they feel like they constantly have that value from me. And maybe you develop naturally, organically with that following, because it might be slow growth, it might take longer, but the benefits are there and it's factual. Like I just said to you, example, you can make the same amount of money as a person with 1 million followers or 1 million fans if you have 1,000, if you do it the right way. Because the same person who's got 1 million fans has got 10,000 people behind getting him there that also want a paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, all the people who work for the record label, all the people who work at the platforms that are sponsored posts or whatever, they're all getting a paycheck from him, from his 1 million fans. So if you have that 1,000 on a lock and a direct connection where you don't need all these middlemen, you can make 100% of whatever your transaction is versus making 1% or less on the other avenue. So you need to get your mindset away from, I need to be the most popular. Because if you want to be the most popular, you're going to have to cut a lot more checks. You're going to have to give a lot more people money.
Yeah.
Which in turn will then take you backwards. So you need to also be aware of who you want to be. Do you want to be the most popular, or you just want to be an artist who can create and in the long game be more memorable? Because if you have, let's say that 1,000, if you have 1,000 fans right now, and then like 10 years from now, that 1,000 becomes 100,000, because I would like to think that if they really like dig you and they really follow you, they would have brought in maybe 10 people over 10 years to follow you too, to enjoy your music too, to become your fans, to understand what you're doing. That's like a safe number to say that those 1,000 would have brought 10. So then now you have 10,000 fans. Now 10,000 fans, those 10,000 do the same thing, becomes the math just keeps multiplying. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if you have that mentality to say, I need to take care of this group, my tribe, my people, niche down, speak to them. Stop trying to speak to the masses. Those people will take care of you to the point where you make or you earn much more than anybody else who's got a bigger following. So it's also like a principle in terms of business and what I've learned myself in terms of business and beyond just being a musician. Cut down your overheads. Because the bigger you want to be, the higher your overheads are. So if you can cut down your overheads and limit it to what you actually need and say, this is what I need, and stop trying to feed my ego and trying to be as big as I can possibly be and say, I need to be big now. Then you can grow organically and never be stressed and never be worried. Because now when you put yourself into a situation where you have big overheads because you want to be the biggest, you end up stretching yourself too thin. You end up being stressed all the time because you got so much to lose. And it wasn't organically grown.
In your opinion, Aewon, which, like I think Teeth is really the question that he wanted to know. Who in your team, definitely you cannot really push it by yourself, even when you're an independent artist. What type of people do you have minimum that you need around you to, to get the work that's required going? Like, what do you have
Yeah, basically, if you're like an independent artist as per se, right? Like, yeah, what kind of people do you think are kind of critical to help you move? If you're working with a small team, what kind of people would you probably advise? And again, this is from your perspective that, you should have around you to kind of help you build,
Do I need a PR manager? Do I need a booking agent? Do I need a manager to manage the managers? What's the core team that one does?
Okay, you're breaking up.
And on that note,
can you guys hear me?
Another break. All finance for Hippies products, $49.99. We'll be right back.
Aren't you tired of doing the same thing all day? Waking up in the morning and going to work? You probably have goals and dreams you'd like to achieve. Well, Finance for Hippies, in association with Miss Brown Productions, brings you Just Wing It, a juice that you can drink that has absolutely nothing to do with all the things I've said. The only thing I can say about the juice is that it tastes real good.
So where were we at?
For the air break, we were talking about teams.
Yeah.
What
Teams
team
you need
do you
around
need?
you.
Okay, so let me break it down, like from what I've seen as essentials. I don't have a manager. I don't have a PR agent. I don't have a booking agent. I don't have any of that stuff. What I do have is good relationships with people who can fill those roles, who can do those things. And how it needs to be is you need to surround yourself with people that are capable of doing those things and give them the opportunity to do those things in a way they can earn for themselves using your brand. So you're making yourself open and accessible, but not necessarily giving up those powers. Because for me personally, I don't like to give responsibility away to someone else, because then when they don't do what they're supposed to do, I don't want to blame them. I need to blame myself. I need to have that mentality where I say, that didn't work. My career's not where it is because of me. And sometimes when you give away those responsibilities, a lot of artists end up being all depressed and mad and angry at their manager or their PR and say, they're not doing my PR right.
Yeah.
Or they're not managing me right. Why am I not getting the bookings? Why am I not earning the money that I'm supposed to be earning? Like, I'm out doing these shows, but I don't have money to reflect that I'm doing these shows. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you need to be able to have those conversations with people and say, yo, I'm available for bookings. Like, as yourself, as Aewon, say, I'm available for bookings. Hit me up. Here's my direct line. You know, talk to me.
Yeah.
When you go out to a gig and you meet the promoter, talk to the promoter and give him your direct line so he books you directly. Like, people want to have this whole ego thing. A lot of artists have the ego thing, and it's cool. But you understand, you're also sacrificing a power to someone else, because the day that person stops being your manager, you don't have the direct access to the promoters no more. That person walks away with that avenue or that revenue stream immediately and takes it to someone else and can give it to another artist now. So you lose that. So you need to be aware of what powers you're giving away every time when you start giving roles away to people. What I find is essential to me and what I've chosen, the only person who's been consistently like stuck with me for years now, it wasn't since day one, but for years now, is my accountant. I have an accountant. That's the most important thing that I've had, because my accountant does things for me that I cannot do for myself and is important to my business. And what I do in terms of my personal life and taking care of my finances and all that stuff. So it's essential that I have to have an accountant, because you don't want to mess that up. Because everything else you can mess up. You can learn, you can make mistakes or whatever, but you don't want to be messing up the finances. You don't want to be messing up your SARS and taxes and all that stuff, because that could really devastate people and devastate a lot of artists.
But Aewon, can I just maybe that's an interesting one that you touch on, because I'm sure even where you're at, you've had a lot of artists probably ask you to manage them and such things. But what I've found in my own experience, although it's within the visual arts mostly, but there's a lot of miseducation that goes around, firstly. And I found that guys don't even actually know how to create a relationship with somebody like an accountant, right?
Yeah.
And how does one break that kind of chain? How does one break that kind of chain and make it more of a norm? Because those conversations don't happen.
I think essentially artists also need to start, if they wanted to be full-time musicians, and this is a thing I always say to the kids that I help, like at the Werehouse and stuff, is if you need to decide early, or at least at some point, whether you want to do music as a full-time profession or you want to do music as a passion, because there's a difference. If you want to do it as a profession, where you earn your money and where you only earn your money, you have to treat it like a business. You have to treat it like what it is. So with any business, how do you get to where you are a fully functional liquid business? You have to learn to make mistakes, yes, but you learn to make mistakes by talking and looking at other businesses and getting a mentor, whoever can teach you, or going to school and learning it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of schools for musicians to be a musician full time. Yeah. So unfortunately, you're going to have to go to someone who's not a musician, but maybe a freelancer. So anything similar, like you said, a visual artist or whatever, someone who's a freelancer, and talk to them and find out from them, who's your accountant? How do you handle your accounting? How do you, and if they can't give you the answer, you go keep searching. Even if you got it, I found my accountant from someone who's a business friend of mine, and he does tenders. He's he's a tenderpreneur. It's sad. I'm sad to say it, but he's a tenderpreneur. He's a freelancer in the sense he goes, finds tenders, and then he gets people to do the jobs.
Gets the check.
Then he gets the checks, and he's got good money for it doing that way. He doesn't own, he doesn't have direct employees. He doesn't have none of that. He just literally gets the checks and spreads it. So I asked him, I straight up was like, bro, I need an accountant. I need to handle my finances. Who does your stuff? Because your stuff is always in check and it's always right, especially from government side. That's why they keep giving you all these jobs. So on paper, whoever does your stuff on paper, because I knew him, he's not a person who's that way inclined. And I'm like, someone must be doing this for you. Who's doing it?
I like how you put that.
And he gave me his contacts. Like, this is the plug. This is the right guy. I met the guy. I actually met two accountants, and this was the one I connected with. Same thing I said before. You have to know brand alignments, whether you connect with someone, longevity type of thing. And the guy understood, and he's like, oh, because you're a musician, I've never done anything for musicians, but just send me your, how does your business work? How does whatever, just let's sit down, have a coffee. And I broke down to him exactly how my business works, how everything works. And he's like, okay, cool. So I can do this for you. I can be your accountant. I know how to handle your finances. It's similar to this and this, and I can make it happen. So you just need to make sure you tell me what you're spending on, what are you doing, and this is how we're going to work it. And ever since, I've never worried about taxes. My taxes are very well handled. And, it's something that, honestly, I could have ended up being like a lot of musicians where I just ignore it and not care. And then it bites me when things are tough. Because the horror stories I could tell you about, some of the stuff, because my accountant also, he's friends with all the accountants and the people at SARS and stuff. And he tells me the funny stories that he gets told about what happens with artists. Some well-known popular musicians have been put in situations with SARS. And he tells me those stories, and I'm like, well, I would have never thought that person didn't have their finances right or their taxes right.
This reminds me of the legendary track we did on the legendary mixtape called The Accountant Diss. The greatest mixtape that no one has ever heard. It got 6 streams, but it's still hot on the street.
Bro, we put out a diss record against accountants, bro. We were hungry, bro.
It was called Ukufa. We were killing accountants.
Came for it, bro.
We sampled Lady Smith, Black Manzazo, without any clearing rights, of course.
No clearing rights, bro.
We sampled the movie The Lion King at the beginning.
Bro, we had that Migos beat.
The flow was immaculate. Check out that mixtape, man. Check out the mixtape.
Get rich or die or hippie.
Exactly.
That was what was up. But Aewon, yeah, man, you're giving some game, bro. You're giving some real game.
When you see yourself as a business, now we're going straight into the bag. What would you say are the major income stream of an artist who runs himself as a business? Is it the check from when the publishing comes in? Is it the performances, which is a big check, I believe? Is it the transactional brand deals that you do with companies? Is it long-term relationships that you build with brands? What are the major sources of income for an artist, and where would an artist really work well for himself to take care of? If you were to fuck up the bag, what bag don't you want to fuck up? Where's the bag?
These streaming numbers, streaming numbers don't make sense, bro. These streaming numbers don't add up at all.
Yeah, no. So, I won't even lie to you. The streaming numbers is lies. Straight up lies. End of the day, like, streaming is a marketing tool. I think the numbers aspect of streaming is a marketing tool. End of the day, like, the streams are based on what playlists you get on, are based on a lot of these record labels are winning on the streaming battle, if you want to put it that way, because they own a lot of the playlisting platforms.
Yeah.
It's their playlists. They've got playlists. You know what I mean? They've got the record labels have massive reach and employees everywhere across the world. So they can make whatever they want to have a lot of streams automatically.
Yeah. The streaming don't add up, bro. Don't add up. So if you look at what the Dolphin has said.
Yeah, and the way it works is a lot of those artists don't earn a lot from those streams at all. They don't earn like money. So streaming is not where you're gonna make your money from. Like, I know artists with ridiculous amounts of streams, but they earning like chump change, or basically nothing from those streams. So let's dismiss that one as your money making avenue.
That ain't the bag. Aye.
Not gonna happen.
That's out.
Where the real bags and where the things matter, and this is also back to maybe the whole signing, what you're signing away and stuff, is publishing. Yes, publishing. I can speak for myself. This year alone, just from my royalties, in terms of royalties, of what's being paid to me in terms of royalties, is hundreds of thousands. This year alone. So that takes care of my life, where I don't even need to worry about a lot of things because those royalties came through.
Yeah.
That's a continuous thing for my entire life. That's a continuous thing until the day I die. I'll be
Shout out to you,
royalties.
All right.
If you want to talk about long game, owning your publishing and owning all your royalties and owning everything that, like, I chose to own everything. Like, there's nobody. Yeah. I don't have a publisher. I don't have a record label. I don't have nothing. My entire catalog is owned by me. Completely. 110%. I chose to do that. It's benefited me now.
Yeah.
And I will continue to do that because it works for me and I'm able to work. And like I said, it might not be a forever thing, but at least I know that I'll be earning something from everything I release till the day I die.
Exactly.
So, and where does it go to? My kids after that. They'll be earning something that I own till the day I die.
Right. So that publishing is proper.
And royalties, yeah.
That is a huge revenue stream. That's number one. I definitely think that's an important one. The endorsement deal, because I've done a lot of endorsement deals. They are nice. You get really good endorsement deals. And then now you're living in an era where I think the endorsement deals have gotten a lot worse because now it's about influencers. It's like, got to spread the check amongst all the influencers. Like, brands have come a lot smarter. They don't just do brand ambassadorships.
Yeah.
Like they used to. Now it's like, why are we going to do a whole year brand ambassadorship when we just get you on for this campaign as an influencer and we get you tweeting? So we'll charge you, we'll pay you. So a lot of these guys, what they do, they charge per tweet or charge per post and whatever. Then they say, okay, for this campaign, we'll need 10 tweets, 10 Instagram posts, 10 whatever, and then we'll pay you whatever that calculates to.
That's why I told Teeth Swag to drop a makeup tutorial video on YouTube, man. We need to get that check. Do some foundations, Teeth, man. Please go ahead, A1. I just want to throw that in there.
So now it's like those endorsement deals don't pan out as long as, back to what I was saying in the beginning of long game. Because that campaign lasts for 6 months or whatever the period it lasts for. And then like you've attached yourself to that brand. And now the next campaign, someone's going to say, hey, you know what? We don't want you because you were with our competitor just 6 months ago. Or whatever the reason. So we might not want to use you. Then your competitor decides, oh, we're doing a totally different campaign this year. We tired of musicians, we're tired of rappers. We need makeup tutorial people. Yeah. Because everyone's an influencer these days. So we're going to hit up Teeth Swag over there. We need you to do our campaign. What's your rate? This is what it is. So it's like, and it's also more competitive. There's more people in the game. So it's not like how it used to be, where it was like, it's either you get me or you don't get me. If you don't get me, there's not a lot of options out here that have the same influence or reach that I have. Now it's like anybody, you can literally be a ballet artist and be an influencer. You know what I mean? Of what you do, which is good. It spreads the checks a lot across more creatives. But at the same time, you now can't rely on that check to sustain you for a lifetime. Because now you also have the pressure of staying hot and keeping up with the Joneses. And now, I'm losing my followers. My followers are not, I'm not retaining viewership, whatever. And now it's like, I have to do gimmicks and stunts to try and keep eyes on you. And it's not even about your talent anymore. It's not like, it's all about all the extra stuff. And I think a lot of musicians lose themselves into that game of trying to stay hot. So now they're always jumping on the next wave. Oh, Amapiano is next. I need to jump on an Amapiano type track. Drill is the next sound. I need to jump on drill music. This trap is what's hot. I need to jump on trap. This is like, my mentality is about like what I connect with. And to be honest, I think a lot of artists might say to themselves, they connect with those music, with those genres. But if you take away the influence of the clubs and the crowds and everyone else, are they really connecting with that music, or is it because everyone else is into it?
Yeah. You're very right. You know what I mean?
Very right. And Daki was looking at getting into drill.
Yeah, if you're really into something, you don't just move on so quickly. Like, you don't just move on to the next thing so quickly if you're really into it. And you find today people be like, hey, Kom I love Kom. Hey, it does everything for me. Then it's next thing, Kom is so old, bro. Nah, bro. Amapiano is what it is. You know, I can't even listen to a Kom song. The stuff is just noisy. It's like, when did the shift happen? You just shifted with the crowd. So you look the longevity there, because that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say people need to niche down. You need to niche down. You need to know what you like and what you're really about, what you can sustain for a long time, and don't move with the crowd. Because if you move with the crowd and say, I think I like this now, and you're moving with the crowd, be careful, because you might be moving with the crowd because it's just herd mentality and the whole mob mentality of humans, where we feel safer with the crowd, but you might not be what you're really into. And then you end up finding yourself unhappy. You find yourself making subpar music or stuff that's not as good as it could be. That's why you find that some artists, you say, hey, the guy is not as good as his last tape, or is not as... And yes, artists are allowed to develop, and they should develop, but sometimes they need to question themselves and say, did I develop, or am I just trying to keep up with the Joneses?
Yeah.
Keep up with the wave.
How is the performance check
the performance check is really good, but it's also another thing where I said, for me, I started to, so what I did, okay, let me break down what I did as Aewon Wolf. For 3 years, I went overboard with performances, the performance check. 2014, right up to 2017, the beginning of 2017, I was on the road consistently, every weekend chasing checks. And the performance check, it started from 2014 when I was earning my first few checks from Redbull, early 2014, which was like 1,500 a gig. That they were paying 1,500, split two ways with Sketch. Oh, not split two ways, but with Sketch and myself, he get 1,500, 1,500, so it's actually 3,000. But we were getting checks for 3,000. And then we progressed to the next level where, sorry, just had a call coming in. We progressed to the next level where I was charging 35K a show. So 2016, I was charging 35K a show. So when I was charging 35K a show, I was negotiable. I'll give you like a look in. I was negotiable. So I would drop all the way to 15. I could drop all the way to 15, depending on how busy I was that weekend. Yeah. If I was like, hey, there's only one show this weekend, I'll take your booking at 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was of the mentality of I need as many bookings as I can get. Do you know what I'm saying? And that mentality, no lie, is what probably burnt me out, and I'm grateful for it in 2016. Because in 2016 was, I think, at like the peak of my hype, or the peak of that, like you're saying, that Miss World, South Sea, all this stuff, all happened 2016, and I was just like burnt out, and I couldn't do it no more. And that's also the year that my father and my father figure both had a stroke. My father figure passed away from the stroke, and then my father got the stroke straight after, like 3 months after that. That I was just like, hold up. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I'm destroying my body. I can't keep this up. I can't keep this up. I'm out here trying to keep up with the Joneses and chase these checks. But what are these checks for if I'm like an old man that can't do things for himself? Like I had first-hand examples, because when my father had the stroke, I brought him back from Lesotho. He was in Lesotho and it happened. I brought him back from Lesotho, and for 2 weeks, he wouldn't let anyone else help him. Like, it had to be me. Like, I got a nurse in to help. He didn't want the nurse to do anything. So it had to be me, because he had pride. And it was like, in that time, I'm like, yo, like it's something personal, but I mean, I can share it because he's a lot better now and whatever. But like, to have your father soil himself and you have to clean it up, puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like,
for sure.
You tell yourself like, whoa, this man was the man. Because my father was like, I've said this before in an interview, so I can share it now. But like, he had a past as like a gangster.
The OG.
If you want to say, he's the OGs on that. You know, he made a lot of money in that life, that fast life.
Yeah.
So he made a lot of money, lived that life, had the respect, fear, rather, I'd say people feared him. He had that. And then when he went straight and he tried to like give up that life to like stay with us and be with us type of thing, because he wasn't with us when he was doing that stuff. But like when he started like staying with us and saying, okay, you know what, I'm building with my family, I've got all this money, like he couldn't keep up with clean money. Let's put it that way. He started up businesses and they all kept failing.
Yeah.
Because he was too used, his mentality was still caught up in that old life. You know, he still had the same spending habits.
Yeah.
But straight money don't come so fast. So it didn't work out for him in that way. So we went through a period where we were broke as a family, like proper, like broke, like no food on the table type broke. So things were like rough at some point. And we like had to like fight through, which also maybe built my character because it forced me to say, I need to start working and making money. So even in high school, I was out there selling. In my school, I arranged to sell and I was making money and I was taking the same money to buy food and bread and stuff at the house.
Bars, bro.
I started in high school with that mentality of trying to hustle. So same thing, varsity, I was working like I was working like a lot of jobs.
You were working a lot at that
jobs
time.
At the same time, yeah. There was 4 jobs at the same time. And I was just like...
And you're studying.
And I was studying law. So it's like, I had that mentality. I have to always be earning, and I need to make money to take care of my family and take care of myself. I can't rely on someone else to do it. So anyway, with that check money now, I still had that mentality.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta be making this money. Doesn't matter about anything else. I need to make this money.
That performance check you were saying, right?
Yeah, the performance check. So you gotta chase that check. And it burnt me out. And that's why I said the performance check is nice, but it burns out artists. Chasing a performance check can burn you out. And for me, it burned me out because I was just like, I had a nice nest egg of the amount of money I made. It was nice enough to me take a break. But once you're in that performance culture, bro, you can't take your foot off. It's so hard. It's so hard because when they stop seeing you in the lineups, other promoters also say, well, you're not the one we booked now.
And Aewon, I'd also like you to maybe touch on, obviously, these different phases where a lot is going on. I'm sure a lot is going on. Your careers, obviously, it's peaking in that kind of market. And then obviously you go through a lot of personal things and you get to your trajectory where you are now. How do you look at, if you just look at your spending then versus how you've gravitated to now, what are some interesting things you've seen? I'm sure you're not spending money the same way.
Financial evolution of Aewon.
Yeah, so the financial evolution, so how I was... With that background that I told you of working many jobs and having this respect for money, I could say that, and I know this is probably a racial slur, I'm not sure.
Don't worry, our editor can sort you out if it's a bit too much for her.
Yeah, so they used to call me
Okay. You were very conservative with your money.
I was with my money.
Yeah, that means you weren't popping bottles with the ladies, man. How was the budget for the ladies?
I understand. This is why, like, where I say I was a Jew.
So you was that's very interesting.
The homies knew. I had the mentality of, especially like at that time, because it was like most musicians in the beginning, especially like ones who just getting the fame and the hype and whatever. Like you care about the superficial stuff and how perception and things look and how everyone else is looking at you. So you care about those things. Bro, I was the guy who would say, talk to the club and be like, yo, we need our rider. We need some bottles at the table. But we ain't going to drink all of it. don't be drinking that stuff. We need to hear. Let them think we bought all the stuff.
You were giving them what they want. The superficial.
You are finessing
the system. The club.
But we're not drinking all of these. Nah, don't touch that, bro.
Okay.
Them niggas better rock up to the club half tipsy.
You know what I mean? It's like, because that's what the clubs wanted. And I knew what the clubs wanted. And I would talk to the managers and the people running it and that mentality, be like, yo, you want these guys to spend. They're looking at me at our
he's
table.
closing the door here. Just quickly.
Okay. Well, they'll be like, they're looking at our table. So they're looking at our table and they looking and they want to compete with us. So that guy there, he's just a regular Joe, a tenderpreneur. He's whatever. He's a businessman. He's a rich kid. He's a whatever.
Yeah.
They're looking at us. So if they look at us and say, hey, we've got 10 bottles at our table, they're going to want 10 bottles too to be like, we can compete with these guys.
For
and
sure.
they drinking
So it's
all
good
these
business
bottles.
for you because I'm motivating them to spend. So all the managers understood what I was talking about. So it was always like me trying to game the system. But it was like, I was very frugal. That's the word. Frugal with how I would spend my own money. I would always make it the club's cost.
Yeah.
And then
Very interesting. Okay.
So that's how that was how I was in the beginning. Then later on, at some point, I eased up when the money was like really there, and I knew I had this amount in my bank account. I started easing up, and that's when 2016. I started easing up, and I was with my homies, whatever. I'd be like, nah, you know what? I don't have time to be talking to these guys and explaining whatever. Let's just get the bottles. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, you start easing up. You start saying, you know what? Let's get the bottles. It's fine. You don't waste time. How much is it? That's fine. I'll swipe for it. You know, and that's dangerous. That's also a dangerous mentality. Because now you check that you're getting from the club, which is because a lot of clubs don't want to pay full price. They were usually the ones we negotiated with the 15 because they're more consistent. So with your check of 15, 5 is going towards bottles.
Yeah.
So you're only walking away with 10. And now I used to cut the deals with them as well because I never wanted to live in Joburg. I'd be like, I will take care of my flights and accommodation.
Yeah.
If you book me, don't worry about it. Don't worry about flights, accommodation. I used to take care of my own flights and accommodation. That's why I was booked so much all across the country. Like I was the person who handled that directly.
It's interesting.
I just say, okay, pay me my fee, I'll handle it. And I used to have an app that give me the best flights, the cheapest flights or whatever. And I'd book on my app, do it quick. And I knew I'd get a better price if I booked early or during these times or whatever. Like I was always trying to get the cheapest cost to it. And then like, okay, cool. It's going to cost me 2,000 on accommodation and flights. So I'm stuck with 8,000. So when I do the gig now, I'm only earning 8. So I say to myself, okay, I need 2 gigs in that city.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't do the club down the road because that's disrespectful. They're not going to like that. I'll do Pretoria.
Yeah.
To try and gain that money back. So you end up now doing 2 shows and being on the road and being flights and and that stuff burns you out. You see, like my frugal mentality ended up hurting me because I was trying to be maximize money, maximize. And it's like you end up burning yourself out because you get no breaks. And and luckily for me, I had the experience with my father and my father figure that woke me up, like literally woke me up and said, yo, you can have all this money, but this money is not going to be always there.
Yeah. It sounds like from that point onwards, you started reevaluating all this stuff. But before we go there, we'll give our technical guys a slight break to sell some stuff. Teeth, what do you want to sell today, man?
No, bro, it's that new teeth brush you guys have been hearing about.
Oh, shit.
Woo, my man.
It's made out of charcoal bristles.
Bro. Charcoal bristles. That new teeth toothbrush. It comes with a free gold tooth. But check out the ad, guys. And we'll be back, man, in a
few minutes.
Need a new gun? Ngabi Financial got you. Need a new getaway car? Ngabi Financial got you. Need money for hotel stay? We got you. We'll even throw in a free side gig because we care about the unemployment rate. Ngabi Financial. Catch a body with our bag. T's and C's apply. Please note, if you do not pay, we'll call Ngabi on you. Ngabi Financial.
I think we're back. Ndaki, Teeth Swag, the show should be really financed for Hippies by Ndaki and Ndaki because I'm carrying him throughout the whole season. But bro, we're back.
The female audience. Who brings a female audience here, bro? Don't play with yourself.
I don't know about that.
Don't play with yourself, bro. The female audience knows what they come here for.
Yeah. a conscious decision seems to have been taken by Aewon to really reevaluate his life from a professional and most likely to a personal level as well. How has, just take us through the new, well, not the new, but the evolution that you've now gone through around that time from the things that happened to you in your personal life and how it translated into the musical scene. From a branding and strategy perspective, it's very clear if you look at your career that you have moved away from dropping them bangers in the clubs to making music that I'm sure you believe is much more long-lasting and meaningful to the listener, to your core listeners. Please take us through that evolution.
Yeah, so I went away from that mass appeal that, like I said before, the 2016 era, which was like the peak of the mass appeal, like appealing to the masses and the numbers game, where it's as many shows as possible, as many fans as possible, as many of everything. And I decided I'd rather have quality over quantity. But for me to figure out what is quality, I need to take a break. I need to just leave and figure out what is quality to me. Like I didn't have time to even think of what is quality to me. So what I did was, in that period of time, I decided I'm going to start turning down gigs.
Okay.
And it stopped being negotiable on the price. So everybody who knew that I was negotiable or whatever, I'd say no. If you can't do the 35, I'm not doing it. It's okay.
Yeah.
So that way I was able to turn down or dial down the amount of gigs. Because if it was a gig that was paying the full fee, then it was worth it. Then it was okay. I'm still earning something that's going to take care of my family, take care of me, and add towards what I earn and what I have as a nest egg. Then I started thinking also towards a long game and saying, how do I give back at the same time, like have something that will last long in terms of taking care of me, which is when I looked at the Werehouse. I did the whole Werehouse thing, and I found this Werehouse, and I had the concept, and I'm like, I'm gonna have this events venue, this venue that's gonna like take care of the kids and the talent in Durban, KZN, and all the brands are gonna come and they're gonna like get involved here, and actually like I'm gonna try and make each kid like blow up and have the brands see that the investment is in the space, so they invest in us and they keep investing in new talent, and I'm able to help. So I'm able to do positive things at the same time, take care of my needs going forward. That was like a wake-up call as well, because like I put a lot of money into it.
Yeah,
it wasn't a cheap investment. And I didn't question, because I do a lot of things in faith, which goes to my beliefs. So if I believe in something and I know that I've prayed about it, I'll do it, even if I don't fully understand it. That way, it actually, from a worldly perspective, was a bad idea. From Aewon Wolf perspective, it was the best thing that happened to me. Because it kept on forcing me to look at what really matters. What do I care about? Is it really about giving it back? Is it really about being better or being a better person? Or is it about the finances? Because I was losing a lot of finances.
Yeah.
So it molded my character to stand for things and to be able to take a knock on certain things and say, you know what, I might be losing here, or I need to understand that I'm going to be losing here, but that's not what's important. What's important is what's going to make me grow as a person and make me grow as I don't want to say Aewon Wolf, but as a person I see myself as.
Yeah.
So in those years, I brought on partners into the Werehouse because it was coming like a very big burden. I could foresee it being something I had to give up. in terms of financial constraint. As much as I was helping and doing a lot of stuff with kids, it's like the brands weren't coming on board. Brands weren't understanding my vision at the time. You know, they be like, we see it, it looks cool, but we don't know how do we get involved in this. Is it a club? Because if it's a club, we know how to spend the money for a club.
Yeah.
We know how to spend the money. What is it? Like they could never define it, so the budgets are never released ever for anything we were doing. And it was like, okay, now I understand where I'm at. It's not going to happen for me financially.
Yeah.
So bring these partners on board and let them handle the finances.
Yeah.
I brought them on board because they were businessmen I respected and I'd done work with and have similar principles as me in terms of giving back. So I was like, okay, you guys are businessmen. This is what you guys do on a daily basis, all day, every day. Can you guys handle this? I don't want to worry about finances anymore. I just want to do the stuff that I do with the kids. I just want to keep doing my programs and doing everything else. Just you guys handle it. So over time, we realized, okay, there's no way. Well, not even realize, it's like the venue had to operate as a club.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we were making the money back to cover overheads and cover everything else.
Yeah.
It had to operate as a club. To keep up everything I was trying to do, it had to operate as a club. So at some point, because my name is on like the lease, because you try to buy the venue, the space, but right now in town, you can't buy any decent space because these conglomerates have bought out all the spaces. There's like these big property groups that have bought out and nobody's trying to sell to an individual when they can sell like a bunch. So it's like, and the group does not consider selling to anyone. They sell to another property group. So even like at that time, the guys who owned the Werehouse were the same people that own Maboneng.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they own the space that. So what we did, we created a long lease, a 20-year lease, so that we can put a proper investment in the space. So we didn't have to like worry and say that we're building up the space and then we're gonna lose it in a few years. So we did a 20-year lease, which is a long-standing lease, which is unheard of at the time, but we did that. So it still feels like we kind of own the property.
Yeah.
So those overheads come every month. It's like a bond. Rent on almost the same thing in this situation. So it's like we have to pay it every month. And there's no excuses, no stories. You have to pay it. And unfortunately, the way we were making money was from the club type events. And the money for what was invested in the space, I don't know if you've seen pictures of the space, there's quite a lot of stuff going on in the space that's very expensive that we built and we made and put into space. So we had to get money back for those investments. So it's like...
It's a beautiful space, man. Beautiful.
Thank you. But like the cost of that was we had to have this club culture. And now this club culture was directly opposed to who I was finding out I am.
Yeah.
Like who I found out I am or what I'm comfortable with is not the club culture. It's the opposite of club culture. It's crazy because I had to find this out when I decided to stop drinking. So I decided to stop drinking and stop any substances. So weed, I never touched anything else. It was just weed and drinking. But I cut everything that was a substance out of my life. I changed my eating habits. I stopped eating meat. I literally avoid dairy products. I did research into stuff that's good for your body and all that stuff, and I started dropping stuff one by one to the point where I was uncomfortable in my own venue. Like I'd be at the venue for an AKA concert, like AKA is having his concert at the venue, and I feel uncomfortable the entire time. And it's like, this is my space.
Yeah.
I created it. I'm the owner. But I'm not comfortable. I just didn't feel comfortable at all. And I was like, I'm leaving. and people wouldn't understand. I'd have like Black Coffee performed our space, and he asked my partners, where am I? I didn't want to be there. And my partners like call me like, hey, Black Coffee's asking for you. I'm like, hey, I just don't feel like being at the venue. I'll be there in the morning to check up, everything else, the business. But the managers are there. You guys are there. I'm not needed. I don't have to be there. So I literally at some point was not at the warehouse anymore. Now, because my name is on the lease and my name as the owner of the property and everything else, and the licenses and everything. So when issues happen, I'll be at home at 2:00 in the morning getting a phone call. At 3:00, you're like, there was a shooting or there was a stabbing or something happened at the venue. And that stuff was affecting me, like genuinely affecting me, because I was getting to a good space. I was like, I'm sure people who talk about, like, they look at my Instagram or whatever, they can see that I'm in a place of Zen, like in a good space. And those people who know me know I'm in a place of Zen.
Yeah.
And the thing that always kept on dragging me back, the thing that kept on pulling me back and taking me away a space out of my Zen was this venue, was the space that I thought was my freedom.
Yeah.
So it was difficult. And then it took like one incident that happened last year. I'm not going to say what it is. That just said, you know what, I'd rather just sell it. I'll sell it to my partners, because the other people wanted to buy it and they wanted to like spend like a good amount of money to buy it from me. But because my partners, I brought them on, and they did air to me saying that, you know what, we don't want anyone else involved after this.
Yeah.
Because it was just 3 of us. And like, we don't want anyone else involved. So I was like, if I bring someone else, it's not going to be fair on my partners who I brought in.
Yeah.
So I said, I made the offer to them and I offered them the space. And I said, you guys can have like my majority share. Just take it and pay me what you think is fair or whatever. And we negotiated and came to a fee, which was a lot less than what I would have been comfortable with. But for my sanity, I had to accept it.
Yeah.
And I had to be fair to them as well, considering that the timing was, we were still trying to recoup the cost of some of the stuff that we were developing, because we had a major upgrade that we had just done.
Yeah.
And that sound system, that R1 million sound system that Redbull had given, Redbull was literally on some tip, like, we're going to take it back now. So we had to like consider that we're going to have to reinvest.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know what? Give me this amount, and I can bounce. And we agreed, and they're generally good people. So I wasn't upset. So they paid me, and they said they'll pay me back over a certain period of time, and they did. And I said, you know, to myself, I need to also look at financial longevity and invest in things that will make sense. So I said, you know what? Let me look at the stuff that I own. Because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in the Karl Marxist theory, where the power comes with ownership of property. That's where power is. Like, you can't say that you have power if you don't own anything. So I was the belief that say, okay, you know what? I need to put money, or this money, into things that I own. And I own my house. I'm like, okay, I own my house.
Yeah.
I'm going to upgrade my house. I'm going to just do everything, fix up, buy equipment, everything that I buy, I must own, that I use.
Yeah.
And I can use that to make extra income down the line, because I always own it. So that's what I started doing. And that gave me some leeway of freedom, but it wasn't earning as quick as the previous money or the other revenue streams, if you get what I'm saying. So it's like straight money slow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had to adjust my mentality as well and say, okay, you know what, at least my overheads have cut down. So I always have this thing now of saying, if my revenue stream is not as fast or as big as I want it to be, I need to look at my life and what do I cut down? What is essential to cut down overheads? Because as long as your overheads are low, you don't need to be earning a lot of money.
Yeah.
You never need to worry. So that's how I've adjusted my life now since then, is just say, you know what, I don't need high overheads. What do I care about? I care about traveling. I care about like being healthy. I care about how much do those things cost me? Not a lot. Because if you travel smartly, you don't pay a lot. Like people think that I spend like millions or something, the amount of travel that I do. It's not. It's almost the same as those club gigs. Those clubs when I was buying bottles in the club. The same amount you'd spend buying those bottles for friends in one night and all that stuff, you could literally book a ticket and fly to India right now. So why are you doing that?
That's hectic.
I must say, even the change, I noticed that you still, now and again, just stunt on them niggas. I saw you kill them with the cinema there that you with the multi-level cinema that you built. So I just want to salute that you're still killing the niggas, jabbing them now and again. So niggas shouldn't sleep on you.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy about that whole situation is that I try to do that in this perspective of like, if those people who know me know how much I love movies. I go to the cinema religiously, like to the cinema a lot.
You were reviewing movies for a minute as well. You were reviewing movies even for a minute.
Yeah,
on
for
your
a while, yeah.
You're doing a lot of reviews, bro.
Because I just love movies. Like that was genuine, just a thing that I love doing. So
can you believe this guy hasn't seen The Professional? The Professional.
No.
This guy hasn't seen he's new. This guy watches Generations every evening. So
what's up?
That's Luc Besson's best movie. You have to see The Professional.
Serious? No. Continue, please, with what you're saying. All I can say is I did my honors in cinematography and animation. So I'll leave that there.
Okay.
I'll leave that there. We can jab for movies. We can jab.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Continue, please, bro.
My favorite movie in terms of cinematography, if you're a cinematographer, Road to Perdition. Watch that movie. Have you seen it?
There we go. Ask him if he's seen it.
Please proceed.
I see you. It's hard, bro. It's hard.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So the whole cinema room thing, I literally documented and I recorded it because that was actually the probably fourth project I was doing in my house in terms of renovations and things that I was investing back into my property. And I only did it and documented because I said, you know what, let me show people how you can do this thing yourself at an affordable rate. Because it didn't cost me that much money to do it. It really didn't. Because at that point I had learned and had now invested in the equipment that I needed to build it. And I said, you know what, I can do it myself. Because I had quotes before for a cinema room that cost like ridiculous amounts. And I was like, you know what is required to actually do it yourself? And I went on YouTube and I started researching, watching many, many videos. And I was like, actually, this thing won't cost that much. I can do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. And then I want to show people that you can do the same thing. Like everything, even the studio, when I built my studio, I built it myself. Like literally the guys that I work with, the guys that work for me, like I literally got them to help me with one or two things. But the majority of it was done with these two hands and my girlfriend.
Shout out.
You get what I'm saying? It's like the mentality has to shift where you say, you know what, if you really want something, build it for yourself and own it. And you find that it doesn't cost as much as you think. So the same thing with traveling is like, it doesn't cost. A lot of people go to travel agencies. I made a mistake the first time I traveled to America. I went with the agency. I went to a travel agency. I went to a flight center, and I was like, okay, we want to be in New York for this long. We have a meeting here, so you guys arrange everything. And they did, and we thought that was the way you do it. Lo and behold, I've traveled to New York multiple times now since, and it's a lot cheaper if you just do it yourself.
Yeah.
You go searching online and looking for accommodation and options online and use the apps that are available and all that stuff. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
a lot cheaper.
Airbnb will set you up nice.
You know what I mean? And all those things are done if you just do it yourself. If you give overpower to other people, it ends up costing you a lot more. So like, even I have this thing now when it comes to products. For example, I'm talking to you right now on my laptop. This is Apple MacBook. It costs so much in South Africa. Like, it costs a lot. Like, I wanted the top end at that time when I got this. And it's like, it costs a lot to buy it in South Africa. I was like, okay, how much does it cost here? It costs 60-something thousand. I was like, damn, I'm not buying it here. How much does it cost? How much does it cost anywhere else in the world? I found that it costs in Bali 35,000. So what is that? That tells me that's a holiday. That's a holiday where I can spend that extra bit of money,
and you can go pick up.
And I can go pick up this thing.
No, that's a bar right there.
Do you get and it's crazy because even iPhones, like, people don't even know this. Like, an iPhone here, for the cost of what it is to buy an iPhone in South Africa, like the brand new iPhone, if you buy like the iPhone 12, or let's say the iPhone 12, the cost that you pay here, you might as well just pay for a flight to New York, buy it, come back. Same cost.
No, Aewon, there's a lot of miseducation that happens with these things. For example, I mean, guys like Ndaki will rather... have you left this continent before? I don't think he has. But you have guys who they think that things like traveling are expensive. But when you actually find out the information, you start realizing that... that things are, if you actually inform yourself, you start realizing that things are a lot more achievable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if you start being wise about how you do it, because like that, like for me, I tie in the travel with business. Because I look at the cost that I can't avoid, and I say, okay, you know what? I can't avoid this cost. I have to get a good laptop for what I want to do.
Yeah. Have you tied in your travel with business?
How do I do that? Get the laptop that I want with the travel. You know what I mean? And I get the advantage of both. So it's like, that's the principle with anything and everything. It's like you can literally finesse everything. You just got to learn how to finesse everything.
Yeah. Let's talk about the new project that you have locked and loaded in the chamber. Teeth Swag here is the Grand Vizier of...
Can you say yes?
No, you cut off.
Yes.
I can hear you now.
He was about to talk nonsense.
We if we were to take a turn to your new project, we've been pumping it yesterday, today. It's I think a reflection of where you are. One thing that caught us was the album cover. What inspired the sort of the cover, the project cover? We saw a specific fuel station there, and it just popped to us, and we wondered why specifically, that type of background. But give us the inspiration of how you landed on the type of
How he flew.
And levitated to that project.
I'm glad that you guys are actually pointing those things out, because like there's small things that I put in that album cover that all my work have quadruple entendre messages. Like they multi-layered. Everything that I release or say on a song, or that is my artistic expression. Is I like I have layers, and I don't try to explain it to people until they ask. And when they ask, you're gonna see I get passionate, because like it gives me the opportunity to explain levels to people. So like the fuel station in the background, like I specifically used, like, it's a Shell fuel station. Yeah. Very popular in South Africa. So it's international, but it's popular in South Africa and it's well known in South Africa. A lot of people don't even know it's international. So I've traveled across the world and I found Shell in most places. In the weirdest places, you find Shell garages everywhere. So that's why I specifically chose Shell, because Shell is international everywhere. So it's part of what I want to be. I want to be everywhere and be well known here as well, but be there to fuel, if you want to say it, but also the message of the road. Because the idea was the road, because I kind of put myself on the road. So it's like, we're on a journey. Like I've been on this road to become Aewon Wolf, or the Aewon Wolf that I want to be. I've been on this road. The album, a project, is like a fuel stop. There's a stop. There's a moment to stop and whatever, and re-energize and whatever, and refuel everyone else who's been following me on this journey. So here's your stop. Here's your rest point. But the reason why I'm levitating is the idea that I'm beyond the road now. Like the conventional road is not for me. I'm levitating and I have an energetic connection to the moon. So the idea is that the moon has this connection with wolves, and it has like this whole vibration and connection with the earth and planet, and it affects the planet in terms of its energy. Like it's scientific. It's not even like a mythical thing. It's actual. The moon affects the planet. It affects people here. It even affects women's menstruation cycles. It has that kind of connection. So the idea is that I am now levitating to another sphere or plane of thinking that's not conventional. That is off the beaten path. That is off.
Hold up there, everyone. Okay, cool. We got you back. Sorry.
Yeah. So the idea of me levitating.
Okay. No. You broke off for a while, but we got you back.
Oh, okay. So that's basically like the main reason that the album art looks the way it does. And even in the stars, I've put like a secret imprint in the background, if you look carefully, of the main producer who produced the project, and the feature, Earl and Ray, and the main feature I use consistently in the project. So the guy who's features the most in that project, Ray. So I put them in the stars because
that's actually
So it's like on the basis that yes, I have this connection, but like these are motivations or the reason why I'm elevating to the state, and also tied to you breaking up. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold Phillips, for joining us back.
He's talking to you as your accountant now. Your government name.
But please, sorry, got cut off there. But because we spent a bit of time really analyzing, we even saw the two guys that you featured the most. I even said if it was my album cover, it would be Teeth Swag and C Funk at the back. What other aspects did you put a bit of time and they were meaningful for you in the cover? Because it's quite interesting to
So the last thing I was touching on was the images up there as well. Also similar to
the two artists,
the Lion King thing. You know, like
Yeah.
them in the clouds. Like I even made a joke when I was doing the artwork, because I was doing the artwork with them here, and I was like, you guys are the Mufasas to the project right now, and then I'm like Simba elevating to your guys' level, like it was almost all for me as well a respect of what I appreciate what they do, because as much as people think that I'm the star or the bigger artist or whatever, I see them on a higher level than me. That's why I want to work.
In terms of relationships with relationships with your current stable of artists, how is that structured? I don't know if you follow more. It doesn't seem like you follow the label type of structure, but you have a lot of people you're working with. How do you work with them? How do you ensure that everyone from a legal perspective, is aware of what's going on? And how is that really, because it's a different type of structure to pull off compared to more of a label and managing people?
Yeah, so I did the whole record label route. I played the role of record label, did the management route. It's not me. It just isn't. It was one of the avenues I tried to look at when I did the Werehouse. I tried to do the record label thing, but try and do a record label that's good for artists, that actually helps artists or focus more on helping the artist than just making a profit from the artist, but still making a profit. So that route didn't work for me. Back to the point I said earlier on, is that the whole musician thing is so difficult to manage musicians because they don't understand contracts, or they don't really care for contracts. And it strains relationships. And it was part of the reason that's what strained the original Wolfpack dynamic. Was we were very also like business oriented at that time. Like things had to like make business sense. So when you have friendships and now the business side is kicking in, people are going to get touched. You know what I mean? When people are going to get touched when the business is like, oh, well, we have to take our money for this and we have to do that. And this is how it works. You didn't cover yourself in that way in terms of the business. So what must happen? It's like, it's not our fault. We covered ourselves.
Yeah.
So that kind of created weird constraints and feelings. And when people were given contracts to say, okay, now we need to have contracts to make things clear, people were like, well, I'm not signing because I've got all the benefits already. So screw you guys, type of thing. It's like, oh, so despite everything we've done for you, you guys don't want to, then it's what it is. It's fine. So people got touched, feelings were affected. And I realized like, for me, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like having to make things weird because now we have to talk business. So when it comes to music and creative music and how I work with people now, it's straight up, I take care of the business in the beginning. I let them know in the beginning how it's going to work. No matter what happens on a song, if I work with you on a song, if we say we're doing a three of us working on a song, it's going to be a three-way equal split.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I do all the vocals. Doesn't matter if I do all the beats. If we agreed we're working on the song, all three of us, your contribution, you can literally give me one line. If you give me one line, you're equal share. Because now we're not going to be making the song trying to compete on who's got the most contribution.
Yeah.
It's going to make things weird. It's going to make the song awkward because now everyone's going to fight for their version or their lines to be taken, and like, your line is whack. No, I prefer my version, even though I know it's inferior. So immediately people will now rather have an inferior product because they just want to make sure they get the most. So I make that clear with guys I work with, and then that's it. In terms of legal aspects and everything, it's like, okay, I'm going to register the song, and when the song is registered and the song is out, whatever, it's equal splits, and that's it.
Yeah.
You go handle your publisher or how you want to work on that in your end, but everything is equal splits. So that's how I approach the business and the aspect side of the business aspect side of the music now, and how I work with other people. If we work together, it's equal.
Yeah. No. Aewon, bro. Look, yeah, we obviously have to we have to wrap up. We have to wrap this up from our side, bro. And I think, look, man, I'm actually gonna spam you and hold you to this, because even when we were wanting to do this episode, we had this vision of doing a Durban episode. Like, you know, we've got our filming team. We actually wanted to find a way to film our podcast like on the beach with you, bro. So my thing is, bro, there's hopes of that, you know, if we like, well, not if, but you know, we've got a season 3 and whatever. We need to find a way to get to Durban, and because there's so much more stuff we want to actually ask you about. You're doing so many interesting things, bro. And I think it would be interesting for us just to catch up on the check, and maybe you've got like an artist or whatever, and we just sit and we talk about like the bag or whatever. We'd be interested in doing that, Ndaki.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I can see the visuals already, bro.
Yeah.
No,
My six pack there, bring some shine to you niggas. You know, I look good in the tiger print jacket, so don't worry, I'll carry you niggas real good.
Yeah, man. But I think, bro, yeah, there's so many things we really did want to get to, man. But from my side, man, yeah, sincerely just appreciate you. You know, just giving your time to this. I think it's been just dope watching you grow and evolve, bro. And you know, just you know, get the bag, but also just add so much more to the game, to the city of Durban, to, you know, and just open yourself up, man, and be easy to just work with, bro. I'd like to commend you on that. If you're listening to this podcast and you didn't pick up anything,
Sleeping.
you don't want this.
Yeah.
You don't want this. I don't know, Ndak, if there's maybe anything you'd like to touch on with the wolf.
One thing, now that you have explained the cover with the meaning of the fuel station at the back, it perfectly aligns to the type of music that's in the project, which is not regional, and it's more of can fit into an international audience. For me, once you describe that, I can see definitely where you are going, and it just shows that when you're making a project, it's a holistic thing. It's well thought out. It's not just find a hit and then you stick it in there. It's more of a well thought out project, from the cover to the tracks in there to the future to the sound. It makes perfect sense. So well done to the project. I'm sure it will do very well. I'm sure with that, I don't know what you're wearing there, man, but I think in Europe it will fly. If you were to land in Europe wearing that shit, man, you're moving units.
yeah, man. And I think, bro, guys, please, maybe I just need to get this question off, because I also think this could be interesting to see your perspective on this. Obviously, you know, I've played the song that you put out years ago. This No Competition song, you know, for people, which for me, as a, you know, just as a rap fan, as a hip hop music fan, it's like, you know, there's people who obviously are introduced to you now. But a lot of the time, like, listen, bro, this guy's on a different tip. This guy can spit when he wants to, you know. He can do all this stuff if he felt like it, but he's on a different trajectory. And a lot of artists struggle with that. I'm sure you yourself have you know, you've got the brand, the wolf, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's the rapper, that career that you built, and you've got where you are now. How are you? How are you just dealing with that as an artist, relaying that message of, this is where I'm at now, and this is who I was at then? Because people want you to be stuck in the past. Yeah. They want, you know what I'm saying? They want you to be pouring champagne. They want you, you know? And a lot of artists struggle with that relationship. This is the direction I'm on. This is where I was, but this is my growth. How are you just dealing with that, bro?
Well, now you have to have a tough skin, a thick skin, because I definitely, and it's funny that you point out like the no competition thing, because like the no competition song, or me rapping a no competition, and rapping hard on that song was just a flex, if you want to say anything else, of my ability to rap like other people, or the guys who they call rappers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the bars or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but my bars in that song are way more complicated than even those so-called rappers who claim they have bars.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to prove to them that, especially if one day I'll have a whole episode where I explain that song, because it has like multiple levels. So at that time, it was a matter of me trying to like have that as a point to prove. But now where I'm at right now is I don't even care because of the tough skin that I have. I know there's going to be people who doubt my ability or doubt my talent. It's a guaranteed thing. The only thing I need to focus on and know my clear vision and have blinkers on is what is the goal. Like, what is my goal? Is my goal to have bars and to have everyone hype me up and say, oh my God, this guy's got the most bars? Or is my goal to have the most change, or the most effective change in impacting and creating a change in people's lives? Because that's what my goal is. I know what my goal is now. And if I start trying to flex and trying to like waste time on trying to like appease and make everybody happy, I'll end up losing the goal. Yeah. So I need to be able to take those shots, and people be like, Aewon Wolf is whack, he can't rap. Where the bars, bro? Where the bars? It's like, I don't need to even talk to you and tell you where the bars, because it tells me that you don't know how to listen to music. So you need to get your game up.
Or
but if I'm talking to you, I'm literally wasting my time. So I need to know what I'm doing, and if I'm solid in what I'm doing, I'll never waste my time trying to explain myself to people.
Bars.
Those are bars in themselves.
Bars, that's the moon right there.
Aewon, thanks a lot for taking the time to come check us out, man, and connecting with us, even though, connectivity is a problem recently, but we stuck through it to pull off a nice, fantastic show. We'll definitely hook you up, give you a shot when we're in Durban doing that, tiger print speedo edition of Finance for Hippies. We'll come through and get some hot visuals and get some a good episode where we're doing it face to face, which is usually much better. Teeth?
Yeah, man. No, Wolf. I think, man, we'll be in touch with you. Thank you so much for giving your time, bro, and just keep at it, bro. I think we enjoy seeing you when this is our own little contribution to just saying keep at it, bro. It's not easy out there, but you're working, bro, and I think a lot of people appreciate it, and I'm humbled to just see you keep moving. So thank you for giving us the show, and let's just continue, man, and continue on your path.
For sure.
Thank you guys for having me on your podcast. By the way, your podcast is really dope, because it's something people need to learn, especially artists, because it's not easy being a hippie.
Bro.
So you gotta learn how to handle those finances, and you literally guys have figured out a niche that is necessary, and that's, for me, is back to the long game, is a smart play.
Now season 20, bro. Season 20 is coming
for sure.
Yeah, we here, bro, for a long time.
All right. And with that's the final. It's not even the final show. We're coming back. That's for Hippies.
Peace out. She's out.
Swag and Daki.